So now let's create this menu to make it dynamic. You need to go back to your partner account and log into your store, the one that you're building now. Inside the Shopify admin, we will go to the content and click on menus, and we're gonna choose main menu, or you can create a new one if you want to. I'm gonna keep this one, so main menu. I will delete what I have here. So remove the catalog, remove the contact, and the home page you can also remove. Okay, we will try to adapt with what we have now. So we have new in, woman, and men. So let's try to write it here. Let's create a new one. Let's make it new in. So the link for now, let's linking to the home page. We will later on change it. And then we have woman and men. So let's create a new menu here. We're gonna call it woman, and again linking to the home page or whatever page you want. And then we have a men and trainers. So let's go men and trainers, and we have kids and accessories. So let's go kids, let's go accessories, and we have brands and sales, on page, and finally we have sales. We have sale like this, and save it. Perfect. So once it is saved, we can now render this menu that we just created dynamically here, because this is hard-coded. So we can come here to render that. So to do that, we need to use what is called section input. If you go to settings here, settings input, make it easier for merchants to customize their theme by using the JSON. Okay, so we have the list of settings here. We have the subtype, we have the input settings, and the sidebar settings. So the sidebar settings are what you see normally in your theme here. Okay, we're not going to talk about that one. Let me go to input settings. Click on input settings, and we have the standard attributes. So we have the basics input settings. Input settings can hold a value and are configurable by merchants. Input settings are generally composed of a standard attribute, and there are two categories: basics input settings and specialized input settings. So here we have the standard of the attribute of these settings. We have the type, we have the ID, we have the label, we have the default, and we have the info. What you need to have in every input that you're gonna have, it is these three: the type, the ID, and the label, because they are required. Okay, the default depends on which input you are using, and the info could go with every input as well, but it's not required. Okay, so I'm not gonna touch every input now because it will take a lot of time. I'm gonna have a series for that. But what we're looking for now, it is we want to render the menu that we created here to be displayed here like dynamically. In the case the user go and change, the merchant go and change, is going to be affect here like automatically. So we're gonna use this input. It's called link list. So click on link list, and it's going to show you how to use it. So a settings of type link list output a menu picker field that automatically populates with the available menu for the store. You can use this settings type to capture the menu selection, such as the menu to use for footer links or header links. So this is the way to do that. Okay, and to access it, when accessing the value of a link list type settings, data return in one of the following formats. So either a link list object, which we're gonna see soon, or a blank. All right, so if I go back to my code here, let me make some space for you, and if I come right here looking for this menu, this UL, okay, in every file that you create in inside the section directory, you're gonna have an HTML, but you can also have access to JSON by creating the schema to hold some data here. Usually when you're using this schema is for adding the section like from the editor so that it can be visible. In this case, we don't have to do that because the header, it's already added here manually. It's already seen from the header JSON. Okay, so we're just gonna add some JSON here to hold some data. In this case, it is the menu link. We're gonna give it a name. So let's call it header. It will accept you can take a class. Okay, let's call it also header. It's not really important for now, but what I want is the settings, because inside the settings I can access the settings input. So what I need here, if I go back to check the linked list settings, it takes the type and it must be linked list. So let's go back and let's say type, and this type must be a linked list. Okay, and it takes the ID. So the ID is the ID of the input you want to create, so give it some unique ID. So in my case I'm gonna call it menu list or link list, like we have it on top there. Okay, link list, and you must also have the label, and we're gonna call it menu. So if I save it for now, let's check the terminal. We have no error, that's good. So if I go back now to my editor and I click on header, we're gonna have the menu appeared here. So the schema that we're adding here is adding the settings right here. If I go back again, just to show you, if I delete, if I remove this settings here, for example like this, if I remove it and I come here, I refresh, and you're gonna see it's going to disappear. Okay, we have nothing. So to add like more settings so that the merchant can come to add, to remove, to add a color, text, etc., you need to be using the schema. This syntax schema is placed inside the JSON, inside the sections directory. Below the HTML or on top of HTML, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so let's put this thing back. So we need to have this menu. So if I click on select, it's going to show me the type of menu that we have. Okay, so we have the main menu, the footer, and the customer. If I go back to my store, if I click on the menus, and as you can see, we have the main menu, we have the footer, and we have the customer account and stuff, just like we see right here. Okay, so we're gonna choose the main menu, and so far nothing, and you can even see it disappeared, maybe not, and now we save it. And if I go back here, I refresh, we still have the hardcode menu here. Nothing changed. Okay, so how we can now access these settings input and to display the corresponding data. I'm gonna keep one li and I'm gonna remove the rest like this, so we have only like one li. So if I save it, it's going to be just one like this. Perfect. So what we're gonna do first, let's display the data that we have. So let's access this settings input that we just created. So to do that, we need to use the section dot settings, because again we are accessing the settings, and then we need to reference the ID. Okay, so to access this object here, we need to go section dot settings dot ID. Okay, so let's do that. I'm gonna come back here, but when I say ID, you have to give the name of the ID. You have to give the data of the ID. It's not just to reference ID. No, you have to give the name of the ID. So let's copy that, okay, and go back on top, and I will give the name of the ID. And if I save it, we're gonna get here the main menu. That's the handle of this one. Okay, so we have the handle right here, which is great. So now if I come again here and I add another dot here, we're gonna have access to this other level of data. So we have the handle, which it is the main menu. We have the levels, in the case we have like many levels of the menu, and we have the links, that's the links of the menu, and we have the titles, and that's the titles of the menu. So if I do list dot links, so I'm getting the link drop like this, which means that we need to loop it. So how I knew about like which objects to access, just like it is written on the documentation here. When accessing the value of the linked list type settings, data is returned in one of the following formats. So a link object or a blank if no selection has been made or selection is no longer exist. Okay, so if I click on link list object, so this is the properties that we just accessed. We accessed the link, but we also tried the handle and the title as well. All right, so and we need to be careful. We need to check if this object is present. But let's first of all loop. So I'm gonna copy this one like this. My bad. I'm gonna copy this, cut it, and we're gonna use the for loop just like we did on the liquid course, and we're gonna loop through through the section settings that liquid list that link, because we need to access these links, and we're gonna give this the name of, let's say, menu or nav. Okay, and we're gonna add this li inside the loop just like this, and we're going to have something like this. We got new in because the data is not changed yet. So remember that we talked about the else tag inside the for, so we can use the else here. Okay, we can say else, and in the case there is not this data, so we can populate 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for example. So in the case there is nothing, it's going to populate, but so far we have something here. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna reduce this else, and here I'm gonna add now the nav, because we put all this data inside this nav. We're looping and we're putting this data inside the nav, so we're gonna say nav dot title, and if I save it, we're going to have now different menu appearing here dynamically. And before we go, we can also add the link. It's going to be nav.url, and we are golden, so we are good to go. Okay, and we have the link here. We can click and go to different pages. But before to go, we need to check if this section here, it is true. Okay, so we're gonna say something like if sections listing list the link, if it is different than blank. Okay, so if it is different than blank, then add this for loop right there. But as you can see now, we need to remove this else to put it out of the, because in the case there is not this menu, we want to add this static menu. So I'm gonna add it just after the for and save it. So it's going to be like this. So we have the for loop and we have the else in the case it's not there, and we can test it. Everything works fine. So if I go back to the theme editor, okay, and I remove the menu and I save it, and I go back and I refresh, we're gonna have just new in, and new in. All right, so this was a long video, so I will make a pause here and we continue on the next one.